Dawson Creek has traditionally been an agricultural community. There's mining around the region, forestry. We're at mile zero of the Alaska Highway, so tourism has always been a big thing. So we're very diverse in the economic sectors.
Probably back 2003, 2004, we started to see a growth in the oil and gas sector, and since then it's right up to about 2008, it just exploded. We started to see growth in that water usage, and it was going to fracking in the oil and gas sector.
Back in 2003, I think industry used maybe 1% of our potable water, and by 2006, it was going full steam ahead. Water use had increased to about 16%. We want our community to prosper from the oil and gas industry, but at the same time, we want to save this precious resource that we have. The people of Dawson Creek, I think, are progressive, I think open-minded and open to new ideas. Like, we have it all here, actually. We have the natural gas, but we also have a fabulous solar resource. We have really wonderful potential for wind resource. Geothermal, like we sit on the right kind of sand, which of course that leads to natural gas, but it also means that we're rich in geothermal energy also.
Our community had a visioning process back in the early 2000s, and really out of that visioning process came the community that said they wanted to be more sustainable.
Little old Dawson Creek up here in the middle of nowhere, right, has really won shelves of awards for sustainability, this and green that, and we are nationally recognized as one of the municipal leaders. And that was started really at City Hall by some very visionary people.
You know, we're progressive enough here that we can actually be busy in the big oil and gas industry, but at the same time thinking about sustainable solutions moving forward.
The oil and gas sector really kind of took off in 2003, 2004. With the oil and gas growing like it was, we started to see increased traffic, truck traffic. But initially, of course, it was viewed as a very positive thing because we were starting to see, finally, Dawson Creek was seeing that growth that neighboring communities always had. But from an operational standpoint, we started to realize that we may start to have some operational issues.
The Kiskatna watershed, which is the source of water for the city of Dawson Creek, is somewhat unique. It's a huge watershed. It's not fed by mountains.
Some people are lucky they have a big glacier that melts every year and fills up their watershed. Ours is based upon precipitation, snowfall, rain.
So in drought years, it's very susceptible to running dry.
It was right around 2006. We had a very dry year. Wasn't unusual, we'd had a few, but everything was okay. The issue with 2006 that made us a little more concerned was that we got into late fall. It was late September, early October, and it was still dry. And the concern is as we get into winter, we get an extremely cold snap early on, and the river's really low because of the drought. Potentially the river could freeze. You know, it's that fragile. And if it was to freeze, we wouldn't be able to take water, and we only have about 3 months worth of water stored between the river and town.
With water resources stretched to the limit and the community or area facing repeated drought years, the city did turn their focus to water. At the same time that industry was flourishing and the demand for industrial use of water was increasing at almost a breakneck pace.
You know, it was the first time that we actually had to cut industry off. We got to a stage 4 water conservation measure where we had to say, you know, you can't have any more of our water, and the citizens couldn't water their lawns.
You know, during those drought years, and especially early on, the community was very focused on water, and mainly because council was making it a very public thing. We talked about it a lot in our council meetings. It brought the awareness up on it. At the same time, industry was using water, so the public was becoming aware of that and was starting to see that. And the trouble with that sometimes was that the public was laying blame on industry for a drought, which is not necessarily the case. They're just another demand, another user within that drought that we need to manage.
So the question is, do you stop providing water to industry, or do you find a way to provide a different source of water?
The idea came out is why can't industry use the water out of our lagoons? Here's a waste product that's going through our lagoon system and is eventually just going into the creek and down to the river and so on and so forth. Maybe there's potential to use that waste product for another use. Once we went through that, we kind of determined that there were some oil companies, they thought, yeah, as long as you could meet our specifications, this could work. But there was a bit of a challenge as we get through this, and we kind of start to learn what it's going to take to treat this product. Because it's not as simple as these companies backing up to our lagoons and just sucking it out of there, is that it needs to be treated to a certain level. We started to quickly realize that it was going to cost a fair bit of money to build this treatment plant. So we kind of got into the discussion of how would we fund this. And at that time, we were looking at a project of about $11 to $12 million. We just didn't have the capacity at that point to fund the project.
I mean, $11 million is nothing to sneeze at, right? So if we could manage to do this without having to actually borrow $11 million to do it, we thought this was a great way to move forward on it and to get it done, right? We put it out there that we were interested in doing this and could we find a partnership somewhere.
When the actual request for proposal came out to move forward with a reclamation plant, several players were at the table. Shell put their proposal into the city in hopes that we would be looked at seriously as a partner.
Shell came back with a proposal that really we couldn't say no to it. I mean, it was basically, we'll partner with you, we'll build this thing, we'll build a pipeline to take hundreds of trucks off of your roads, and it really just was the best.
So the arrangement essentially is that it's our building on our land, and the contractual issue is that we provide Shell, when they want it, up to a maximum of 3,400 cubic meters per day of reclaimed water. And as they take that, that's essentially their payback for the project. Anything that they don't take, we have the ability to market and sell to other users if there's a need.
After being awarded the project, we sat down and it took quite some time. We worked with the city for almost 2 years to bring the project about. Lots of technical details to work through. And at the same time, both the city engage in the community on what this project would look like in the need to get community support behind the project.
We opened the water reclamation plant September 2012, and the day couldn't have been more fitting. It was hot and dry, and had been dry all summer.
The ribbon cutting, it was a big flashy deal down there, big tent, all the Shell people were there, and we were all there, our MLA was there, and lots of speeches. But the tour of the facility, of course, because you're sort of on the outside of it, you hear how it's progressing, but to go in and actually tour the facility and see how it actually works was really great. I was so happy when it was finally finished. The water reclamation facility takes the wastewater of Dawson Creek, everything we flush, everything we drain, takes that wastewater and runs it through a series of procedures to clean it up to a point that industry can use it.
We're pulling it through what is called a sagger cell, and sludge grows on it, and it's an all natural process that then cleans the effluent to a very high quality state. We then take it out of there and into a mechanical plant that kind of just touches it up a little bit more with some filters and some flocculation and whatnot, and produces a product that is really only second to drinking water.
At the same time, Shell created a 48-kilometer pipeline that would get the water from the community or the municipality to where we need it out in our gas field. That was a key linkage that we had to figure out. Is a great project, how do we get it to where we need it and lessen that burden on the community of hundreds of trucks passing by their residents, especially in the rural community. And a pipeline was the answer to that.
What we see as a future for the water reclaim plant is we are now actually actively trying to amend our Ministry of Environment permit to expand the uses of this product. Initially, we were only allowed to use it for drilling and fracking, but what we'd like to do is expand that to where we could use it for uses within our own operation here at the city, whether it's irrigation, dust control on gravel roads, watering plants. There's a number of uses that we could use potentially, again, all to save precious potable water.
The water reclamation plant meets a number of needs at the same time. One, it gives the city a revenue stream. They can sell reclaimed water for industrial purposes in the area. Two, it's a greener way of treating the environment by not discharging mildly treated sewage water back to the environment, and instead we can use that water for industrial purposes. Three, it meets the needs of industry. Industry has considerable water demand for shale gas production in the region, and using an alternative source to that, instead of potable water that's needed for community and municipal needs, the reclaimed water is a perfect fit to meet those myriad of industrial needs throughout the region.
The city of Dawson Creek has gone down the road towards being sustainable. And, we've done a lot of things with alternative energy, with energy efficiency. And so we have our philosophy here, and it's right in our mission statement, sustainability. And we look, everything we do, we look at the environmental impacts and having, the ability to do this in a way that really is sustainable, reduces the amount of fresh water we need to treat or the amount of fresh water we need to have in the community. It really fits. The project really fit with our philosophies around sustainability and doing the right thing for future generations.